All right, hey everybody, welcome aboard. This should be kind of an interesting show because we haven't done one like this in a while, and but we did a few in the past, and they're kind of fun. We're going to talk. What's the specific topic? I don't want to screw it up. I know generally, and I don't want to fumble all over it.
Yeah, I'll have to pull it
No,
up.
okay. So off to a humming start. How to have confidence in your writing, or what to do when you don't have confidence. Those sorts of things, and that's good because that's what we hear sometimes. What if it's shit? How do I know when it's time? All that sort of thing.
Yeah, and well, actually, I'll save it for the actual topic.
Are we going to talk about having confidence when you shouldn't have confidence?
Sean didn't have any confidence in that sentence. Totally bailed.
I really didn't. Yeah. So Dave was it Dave was telling the story? Oh no. That's why we started, because Johnny has never heard of Key and Peele. No,
I figured this was a worst show ever thing, so it must be publishing relevant.
Well, no, it's
creativity relevant.
No, I was just gonna do it as something cool.
Yeah, you're not taking away something cool.
What's? Oh, damn it!
I saw it first.
You did see it first. You did see it first. Okay, fine. Well, I had a silly one. This just made me laugh a lot, and it's totally juvenile. I admit that ahead of time. But Ethan comes home from school the other day, and there's this thing going around school, and it's where only the boys are doing it, but one of the one of the boys, they'll gang up on a bunch.
Dave's already having flashbacks.
I just think this is so stupid but funny. So a bunch of boys will and they're not doing this to it's not victimized. This is kids. So a bunch of Ethan's friends will grab Ethan and fart on him, and they call it crop dusting. Which just totally cracks me up. So that's
Dave, when people did that sort of thing to you, did they say it's not ganging up on you, it's just having fun?
Yeah.
Well, with a name like crop dusting, it takes all the menace out of it.
Shit on me. It was just really awful.
Wow.
Sean Williams ever actually cool today.
Are all was he in middle school or high school?
Middle school. Are
all middle schoolers like into homoerotic stuff and not realizing it?
Since the dawn of time.
They do a lot of weird shit like dancing and
that's the definition of middle school and high school.
Have you heard of corn doggy?
No.
This is gonna be somebody's first show.
All right, I don't need to talk.
All right, Dave, what's your something cool? I think I know.
Something cool is the return of the one, the only M. Night Shyamalan. Is that how you say his last name?
Shyamalan,
whatever.
Ding dong.
Yeah. He just recently came out with the movie Split last week, and it was absolutely awesome. So thrilled because he hit his first movies out of the park. The Sixth Sense. Well, those weren't his technical first movies, but the ones he became known for: Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, and Signs. Yeah,
and Unbreakable.
Except for The Village, because fuck that movie.
When he started to fade away, although I love that movie.
I love The Village too. Johnny's wrong about The Village.
No, definitely not.
No, The Village is awesome.
Phenomenal.
High five, Dave.
Yes, and after that, his movies just were horrible. It's like somebody else was making them, and I felt bad. He became a laughing. Even you guys probably made fun of him at times. I don't know. A lot of people.
I didn't make fun of him. I felt sorry for him. I wanted his triumphant return forever. This is very happy news for me.
So it came out, and I don't want to spoil anything. I mean, there's a couple cool things about the movie. You should really not probably Google it or anything.
Don't.
I would just go see it as soon as you can, so some jerk doesn't spoil the cool thing about it. But it's just an awesome movie. Absolutely loved it, and the actor in it was just great. All the two leads, the guy and the girl, they were both great, and it's just I don't know. I'm glad to see a return to form is what they're saying.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of this real quick because on the Sunday before my birthday, I had a birthday on Monday, and we went to a movie for my birthday on Sunday, and Cindy had it all planned out. We were going to go see Fantastic Beasts, which I still haven't seen, but I figure it's at the Dollar Theater by next week anyway. So Dave the night before, or maybe it was Friday, had been you know,
Dave the night before
had been talking about Split and how amazing it was. And like, I actually saw the trailer, but I'm like, yeah, I'll catch that on video. It's a new M. Night, not old M. Night. And I liked his previous movie, The Visit. I thought was pretty solid, but not magical in the same way his other stuff had been. It was more of a, it was like he improving himself again, which was great. But Dave was like, no, he's back, and there's something I want to talk to you about this movie, so see it when you can. And so I said, hey, let's go see Split instead. And I'm very, very glad that I did. There's not a twist to the movie, but there's an amazing world building element that I just like. I'm so glad Dave encouraged me to see it, and it's awesome. I can't wait for Johnny to see it so we can talk about it.
Your whole family liked it too, except Ethan, who was like just wishing he could go back to crop dusting.
Well, yeah,
he wanted to see that documentary about The Rock.
Yeah, he did. I'm awesome and you're not. Yeah, Ethan's not the biggest fan of movies. So there's some that he likes and some that I've made up that don't actually exist that he really wants to see. Like the one-man show with The Rock, I'm awesome, you're not.
Would he go to see like an 8-hour baseball game and sit there enjoying every moment of it?
Yes.
But not a movie.
Correct.
Okay.
He's not my son.
My almost something cool, which is not my actual something cool, is that I was with a group of friends this weekend and we were looking for a movie to see. And one of my wise ass friends was like, well, that movie didn't get good reviews in the Wall Street Journal, which in retrospect, why was the Wall Street Journal opining on that? I mean, come on, your Wall Street Journal.
Right. Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal could give you an opinion on Manchester by the Sea, not
right.
Split.
So I'm profiling Johnny right now by just the fact that he's hanging out with just guys that are reading Wall Street Journal to get their movie reviews.
Well, if you knew the guy. But anyway, so I generalized that into, quote, the reviews are terrible. And then of course, clincher, Dave said, Return of M. Night Shyamalan. So he said, oh, that's that Shyamalan movie. And I went, oh, well, fuck that, because his last things have been terrible. And so we didn't go to see it, and we didn't see anything. And then when it was too late, Dave said, oh, my God, you have to see Split. It's the best movie ever. And I went, well, fuck. So I almost...
You haven't seen it yet, huh?
No, well...
When are you going to see
3 days since?
Like, what the hell?
Well, I guess Johnny's a little more insulated from it being spoiled since he doesn't read anything online.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna. It's not gonna. Unless somebody jumps in front of me and spoils it.
No, that's the way we started this. He didn't even know who Key and Peele was, and he was complaining about kids on his lawn. Remember?
My actual something cool is I'm gonna go with a businessy something cool this time, and it's Google Play.
Wall Street Journal.
No, yes, Wall Street Journal.
That is
Google Play. Yeah, and it's something cool for us, and I know people who it is not a something cool for. I know there are some people who it was a something cool for 5 minutes, but it's a market that we had largely ignored, and we finally put stuff up there starting a few months ago. And I want to say we had 3 months, and the first month was really small, or maybe.
Where'd you say?
Google Play.
Oh, okay.
So selling on Google Play. This isn't buying our books on Google Play or anything. We're talking about selling our books there. And then the second one was like just slightly, and it was like, well, okay, that's nice. You know, it's money we didn't have. It's a couple $100 or something. And then the next month was like quite a bit bigger, and it was like, oh, that's nice. We had a BookBub, but the BookBub really worked on Google Play apparently. And then about halfway through this January, Robin, who's been checking such things, looked and said, you've already like doubled what you had last month on Google Play, and it was halfway through the month. So just don't ignore markets that you haven't been doing, I think is the message there. It's not like Google Play is amazing, but
yeah, don't run to Google Play if you're KDP Select. If you've decided to Amazon exclusive, don't jump ship for
Google. It's
Play.
not a magic bullet sort of thing, I'm saying.
Yeah, but if you're elsewhere and you can get into Google Play, I don't know exactly how. Because it doesn't seem like they have open enrollment, right? Like it's.
Yeah, I don't even know how we got it.
Yeah.
But it was something we'd been completely ignoring and kind of cousin Timmying, and it's not, again, it's not great for anybody.
It's not a magic bullet,
no.
But if it's extra, like we like extra.
Right, and that's so not the point. It's not that Google Play is so amazing. It's that was money we were just leaving on the table, and all of a sudden here it is, and it's really nice for that to happen. We didn't write anything more. We just put our books in a new place.
Right.
And it's good to have them there because I've been talking about Google Play for a while because long time ago, I got the Samsung Galaxy, and they had that was like my first time getting stuff on the Google Play, and I was like, wow, I see our books on there, but they're not by us. It's like, it's like other people, and I'm like, what the hell, man?
Yeah, that's bullshit too. Before we get into the topic, can we talk about Dave's hair?
Yeah, I was thinking about Dave's hair a little bit.
We already talked about it.
Yeah, but it's a new level of
yeah, it's extra special today. Have you looked in the mirror lately?
It looks horrible.
Well, no, it looks awesome. I think it's worth taking them. Oh, well, you can see yourself. That's awesome.
Only if he looks out of the corner. He's a little like Medusa. He can only look sideways. Am I over there? All right. So do you want to okay. So I have something that I was going to mention, and now I have to clear it. But do you?
Now you got me all self-conscious.
What was the thing
Your
with?
hair is awesome, Dave. I'm just fucking with you.
Well, okay. So just I sort of feel like we should mention the summit again. That's what I was going to say. I forgot to clear this with Amy ahead of time. But I do, right? I mean, is that worth mentioning again? Since there's
probably the last time, I imagine.
Yeah, the last time we'll mention this, I suppose. I'll try to remember to mention it at the end as the closing thing. But it's not yet sold out. It's close. So there are tickets left.
There's a few tickets left.
Yeah, and it's just really getting excited for that. Like we're starting to really, and by we, I mean as far as plans, like Amy's really starting to put plans together, and we're booking speaker travel and just starting to really talk to people and get excited about the summit. And so if you haven't gotten in on that yet, it's in March in Austin, and April. You can get in April. Sorry, I knew that. I just was wrong. April in Austin, and it's at the smarterartistsummit.com. Go to smarterartistsummit.com if you want to get your ticket if you haven't yet. So I just wanted to mention that. And we'll move on, right? So moving to the topic.
Yes, that sounds perfect.
All right.
All right. So, what's the best way to kind of like break this down? Like, what are the ills that keep people from feeling confident?
Yeah, I have a place we can start with this. So, Amy mentioned that in the there were email suggestions and notes and stuff, and just as discussion points, like how do you have confidence when you're just starting out? Or when you're working alone. Like those are two really good ways, I think, to look at this, because we have confidence between the three of us. So like Dave seems to have the least natural confidence, but then Sean works with Dave and says, this is great,
Dave's
or something
funny,
like that.
Though. Dave's interesting in this way because he's like uber confident about some things. About some things he's like, no, I am right. The rest of the world
Humanity's downfall.
Right. There are things that he's super, super confident about, which is great. But there are things that he is real unsure about that don't even make sense because he's really good at it. So I think sometimes we don't know what our superpowers is, which it's nice to work with other people who can encourage the best from us. Maybe that's part of the battle.
I could talk a little bit about, I talked about this before, I think, on The Walking Dave. When I started off doing comics back in 99, I think, 2000, I was absolutely horrible, like just god awful. I could not draw well. I didn't realize it though. Like I didn't know my limitations, and I'm glad that nobody like told me how awful I was. Otherwise, I would have immediately given up and just never drawn again. And I always compared myself to like the best. I didn't compare myself to other indie comic people, although there weren't a whole lot at that time. But I compared myself to like the syndicated cartoonists that I liked. And like I got better over time, and I eventually got my comic syndicated on a small syndicate in a few college papers. And then I got a professional editorial cartooning job. So it's one of those things where I didn't have confidence, but I wasn't. I don't know. I didn't think I sucked at it, although I should have. So it's one of those weird things, like where you want to cultivate a false sense of confidence, but you need to understand that. Where you need to keep striving to get better, because if you think you're great, and then you'll never work to improve, I don't know.
No, I think there's something really important that you said there, and I'm apologizing to any apprentice listening right now because they've heard me say this a few times, so it's maybe boring for them. But you got to box in your weight class, right? You have to figure out.
You must have only said that on the calls I'm not on because I don't remember.
Yeah, I haven't heard that either.
Oh well,
He probably means it in his homoerotic sideline.
maybe I'm saying it to myself a lot. Okay, well then never mind. You got to box in your weight class though. You know, I think I maybe said it on a one-on-one call. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The point is that Dave, if you're comparing yourself to syndicated columnists, those are people who have already done all the things that you want to do, right? Don't compare yourself in this context to Andy Weir or Hugh Howey because they've done it. Like compare yourself to somebody who started out 6 months ago. If you're just starting out, look at somebody who.
Oh, I did the opposite. I only compare myself to the best.
That's what Austin did. He would get on my son. Like he's actually a very good artist for 12 years old, and he would go on DeviantArt and look at these like pro people who are our age and have been at it for 30 years, and I'd be like, dude, that's really the wrong comparison.
Yeah, because all it does is it puts a wall in front of you and says, I can't do that. But if you look at somebody who is 6 months ahead of you, then you can actually say, well, I could do that. And success breeds success. It's like when people say I'm not creative. It
depends on the person.
What you're saying that's for somebody, the pinnacle could be the motivator?
Well, it was for me. Like I wouldn't have been motivated by people like just slightly ahead of me.
I think that the question is it one of motivation or negative comparison? So like in the example I gave of my son, it was, oh man, I'm not that good and therefore there's a problem. Dave, if you were oblivious to
drawing.
Well, but at the time too, it was just like, I mean, he didn't stop, but it really bummed him out. Like he would really get upset about it. But if you were kind of oblivious to number one, where you were like relative to them, or you didn't care, like you were just like, it was an inspiration, then I could see that being really good. But I could also see somebody being negative, like with Austin, it was not a positive.
Well, okay. Now that you mention it, like when I was writing all the time, when I worked at Graveyard Shift at a gas station, the first time I read Clive Barker and I was blown away, I almost didn't write for a long time after that because I was like, I will never, ever be this fucking good as this guy. And that, yeah, so I guess I could see both sides of it.
That's just too defeating. I mean, imagine if you were out making a movie, right? Like it's your first film or it's not even your first film. Okay, let's take this to Shyamalan, actually. So you know how Shyamalan got, like, he kind of came out of nowhere with Sixth Sense, right? He had a movie before that.
I think short in another movie. Like,
yeah.
And he did Stuart Little.
He did Stuart Little. That was a script. He didn't make that. He wrote the script. And I forget his first movie. I've seen it because I really like Shyamalan and I was curious what he did before Sixth Sense. His first movie is not a good movie.
I think it was Two Girls, One Cup.
No, but it does have Rosie O'Donnell playing a nun.
It was a Serbian film, I think.
Damn, he says Jesus, Dave. Yeah. So, and then Sixth Sense comes out, and like, it was amazing. Like, it was a groundbreaking film. And I remember watching on the DVD extras where he's talking about all the movies he made as a kid, which is an 8mm, just walking around, and he wanted to be Spielberg. Like, that's who he wanted to be, and that makes sense. Like, that's an inspiration. But if he ever said Spielberg's too good, I can't get it. And so when he's actually getting a budget, to work from, he's making the little movie and making better and better. And I think something that happened to Shyamalan, it was hubris. He got too full of himself and he got to work with all of this money, and he had too much confidence, right? He was being told he was the next Spielberg, because that's what people were saying when Signs came out. When Signs came out, they were like, it was actually the Wall Street Journal, funnily enough, who called him the next Spielberg. And that's like too much. And then I went to his head. And if you look at The Visit, it's because he stripped down and went back to nothing and proved himself.
I agree that he stripped down. I don't know that he had hubris, so I don't know how arrogant he was. We don't know him. It might have been studio expectations.
Oh, no,
it might have been people.
No, you have to read
you know
interviews with him. No, but I read a lot of interviews with him at the time. He was fucking arrogant. And after Lady in Water, like he was like, and I like his breed of arrogance. I don't actually have a problem with it. This is exactly something Johnny and I would have done. So
did he like rip off his shirt and show his abs?
No, but after
might as well reach to the top in terms of arrogance.
when everybody, including Johnny, was shitting on the Village.
That's because it's shitty, though, to be fair.
No, the Village is awesome. And when everybody was shitting on the Village, he followed that up with Lady in the Water, and the critics really eviscerated him. So who's the bad guy in the next movie? The movie critic. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And how he gets eaten and like.
Okay, like we haven't done anything even close.
No, never.
No, I know that we have, but like when The Happening came out and he's in interviews and he's talking about how audiences just don't get him. No, The Happening was kind of a shitty movie.
It's called The Happening and there are things happening in it. What's wrong with people?
Nothing happening.
So I think that there is some arrogance there, and you think that, well, I can't, and the studios just gave him money, bigger canvases to play with, and that wasn't the problem. The problem was, like you can be too confident, and you were talking about that in the beginning of the show, Dave. I know you were being cheeky, but I actually think that is something to talk about. Where, well, what about people who are too confident? I think that there's that too.
Yeah, I mean, people that are too. I mean, it's all right to be too confident if you're still working towards getting better, but if you're too confident and you're just starting out and you think, oh, well, I'm not going to get any better, well, you're not. So
yeah.
and I see that attitude every now and then among like artists and writers and stuff, that they think like once they've got that first book or that first album out, that there's nowhere to go. They don't need to work anymore. They don't need to.
Okay, well, here's an example. Here's an example of misplaced confidence. I think there is a group of authors who are very good at selling books, but not necessarily building lifelong fans. Right? These are people who are good at basically hacking Amazon, which is a different thing from being a competent storyteller. Those are now they can be the same thing. Or the same person can maybe accomplish both. I mean, we hired a fiction hacker this year. So we clearly believe that, there are things you can do to goose your sales, but our primary focus is on, writing and on elevating our craft and getting better from book to book. But what about the people who are just really confident that they know how to sell books, but it's because they understand the way the sales mechanisms and the algorithms currently work, and they have success or select as a secret weapon? What happens to their confidence when all of a sudden they're writing the same kinds of books, but not able to sell them anymore because the math has changed?
Yeah, it's definitely a pitfall.
Well, so let's switch back though to the idea of how do you get confidence. So let's say you're incontinent. That's the word, incontinent. No, you're not confident, and you're say most people who are listening to this are writing alone, or with like editors and stuff, but they're working alone. They don't have collaborators, or they're just starting out, or both. And so how do you get confidence in advance of any success?
I'll let you know when I find out. I think just to keep working, like I am not confident in my writing now. I'm confident in some elements of it, but not wholly and fully. And fortunately, I have Sean as a co-writer, so I figure any weaknesses I have, he'll fix, and then we always have editing. But I'm confident in some things, but there's a lot of things I'm not confident about. But I find that I'm a lot more confident now than I was when I met Sean. And a lot of that just came from writing a lot. When I worked at the newspaper, I had constant deadlines. I didn't have time for my lack of confidence to get in the way, because there was a job to do and I had to fucking do it. And if I didn't, then there wasn't a story out. I think I learned a lot trial by fire, just having to do the work.
Yeah, can we draw a line too between, like, I think you can be confident about something, but still have a little bit of anxiety about it, if that makes sense. So if you finish a book, you may still wonder, like, is this really as good as it needs to be? Or, you know, even if you're in that draft phase, or even if you're writing it, because that's part of the process. But that's different from saying not being confident enough to put it out there and seeing what the world thinks. So the example that I would use here is speaking. Like, I know I'm a good speaker. Like, I've never bombed on stage. When I get off, the audience is always really happy, and I'm glad that I did it. But I still, like, it's not that I'm not a confident speaker, because I can do it, but I don't feel a lot of like energy going into it. Like, I always feel anxious, like this is going to be difficult for me, and I feel nervous. And, you know, I do have a little bit of like, what if it doesn't go well? So what's the difference there? Because I am a confident speaker once I'm speaking, and it always goes well, but I am always also nervous. So where is that? Like, if you're doing that, if you're nervous that your story's not good, but you published lots of stories before that have good reviews, is that just part of the process and you should accept that? Or are there ways to kind of combat that as you go through it?
Sandra Turnbull makes a comment here. I started with 3 trusted alpha readers, fed them chapter by chapter until chapter 10, then pulled back in, shut the door, and got into it. But their feedback and learning to talk about me or my why with them was perfect for me. And I think part of that is like, for me, like, I started with a small audience for my comics. I'm going back to that. Like, having just a few people that like what you're doing early on, or people that are critical in the right ways, I think can help build that confidence. If you have a good editor that understands you and can help you get better, I think that builds your confidence. I think having this small amount of exposure, at least for me, I mean, everybody's different, but having just like a small group of people like looking at your stuff helps you get confident. Like, and then you feel like, okay, this is ready to go out to more people. That's my way anyway.
I don't know how helpful this will be, and it even verges on being maybe a little psychobabbly, but this is actually something that I think, and Sean can confirm this, I actually think I read this in Tucker Max's book, Mate, of all things, because his argument was...
a huge confidence problem, that guy.
Well, right, but the whole point was, and this is just stick with me on this metaphor, but his whole thing was... you know, if you're trying to date and you're not having a lot of luck, then you need to build confidence. And well, how do you build confidence? This is actually something that I remember reading in this book. And he was like, well, you got to build it obliquely. You can't have confidence in dating if you haven't had dating success. So you need to build confidence in something else. And so if you have a skill that...
masturbator ever.
Best, or like, are you the best? Unparalleled. But if you might not have experience writing, and so therefore you might not be confident in writing, but you might have something that's creative that you have had success with. Like, maybe you're a good illustrator, maybe you're a good business person, maybe even you're just, you know, you feel like you're a good husband or father or wife or mother or something like that. Like, is this making any sense? I think that it's
it absolutely is. It's because success breeds success. So if you're successful in one area, you can transfer that out. And I think we're seeing that internally in the company, because we're really bonded and we're really communicative, and we're seeing opportunities in other spots, and we're confident enough to go for those opportunities because we know that we've been able to execute on the things that are, you know, our core stuff. And I think that's natural. I think a big roadblock to people feeling to people feeling blocked or not as confident as they want is just a basic. It's a loss of momentum, or you know what? Actually, a finer point. It's a lack of appreciation for how much momentum actually matters. So they want the big audience. Let's say, because we always talk about 1,000 true fans, right? Like that's a number. So 1,000 true fans. And if you don't have 1,000 true fans, I must not be any good. But if you have one person who truly, truly loves your work, then, and it's not your mom, it's not your brother or your sister or anyone related to you.
Stalker.
It's not your stalker. Wow. It is literally, you know, this is somebody that you don't know who found your work and has connected to it. if you've got one of those people, there is no reason in the world you can't get 10 and then 100 and then keep expanding that. But understand that that's the process. And as long as every time you put out a book, you have more people who are reading your books than the times before, that's really healthy. That's the momentum. And that's where you should get your confidence from. Not looking at your end result that you want, like what is your most ideal horizon, and then saying, well, I'm not there yet, so I must not be any good.
So when I was writing all those years at the gas station, I must have started 100 or more stories and never finished a single one until I met Sean. And I think it was finding somebody else that I bonded with, and who I trusted, helped me really kind of get over myself and write fiction. I'm curious how you, Johnny, because when we met you'd written the one book, and you're like, "Oh, there's no way I can be writing."
But confidence wasn't a problem there.
Well, and I think it was like he didn't believe that he could write the like even close to the speed we were doing, and now he's outpacing us.
Oh,
like,
with speed, yeah.
he's got his hands tied behind his back, and he's still writing faster than me. So how do you go from one to the other?
Right?
Well, okay, so that's actually, it's a different variety of confidence or lack thereof. So I've always felt, and cue the cries of variance, like I've always felt like I was a good writer. Like I've never really doubted that, and a lot of that was just being oblivious, because looking back.
You want to tell the story about college, Ian?
No. So looking back, there was there were things that I've looked back and I'm like, okay, well that just wasn't as good as I thought it was. And I know that when I was really young, like I was 7 or something, like my grandmother had a typewriter and I'd write shitty stories on it. And I thought they were awesome, right? Like I thought they were the best. And so that was, I was oblivious to it. But by the time I got to be older, I did feel like I was a good writer. But what Dave's talking about is I didn't have the confidence bred from experience. Dave's doing a pirate thing over there. You see that?
My eyes are messed up.
He has a lazy eye.
I was doing like I didn't know that I didn't feel that I could finish another book. My first book was like I just forced through it. Like that was a trauma time, and writing the book was better than living during some shittiness. But when I got finished with that, what I couldn't do was put what I felt were good scenes into a narrative. And so if like I was good at situations and I was good at scenes, but I wasn't good at actually having something happen. Like I kept saying, so what the hell happens? I have these people and they're in this intriguing scene, but then what?
Yeah, Johnny's really great at like set pieces. Like, okay, this has to happen within this confined environment, but that's different than working it into the larger narrative, which.
Right. And there was a light bulb moment that we've talked about before, and this actually came after we'd been writing for a while, but I presented Sean with the original premise for Dead City. And it was like, well, there was a zombie plague, and it was a disease, like it stopped people, like the development of the disease in their tracks, this drug that came out and all this stuff. And I explained the whole thing. I explained everything I had. And Sean goes, well, that sounds like a really interesting situation and premise, but what's the plot? Like what occurs? And I kind of went, oh, I don't know. So like, yeah, there's this really cool thing that happened, but there's nothing that happens in the narrative. Like a character does this, a character faces this crisis and has to overcome. And what got me past that, to answer Dave's question, and it was a little accidental. One was, okay, so there's actually 2 here and these are good. One was... You
found Sean. So basically everyone's...
Well, yes, honestly, but it wasn't because of working with Sean. It was because I found both of you guys. And Sean will tell you, when we did the interview for my old blog, and I was talking to you guys about Yesterday's Gone and how much you were producing, and I realized that you guys were actually making a career out of this, and you were producing fast, and people were buying, and it was there were funnels. He was speaking my language, and I had a moment there where I was like, oh, this can be done. And once I thought this could be done, then that was one step of it. But the other thing was that my second book, the one where, because I wrote one book and then I had many false starts. Try. Nothing would happen. And then I wrote Fat Vampire. And the reason I think that I was able to finally finish that one, again on my own, I wasn't writing with Sean at the time, was basically 2 things. Number one, I gave myself permission for it to be short. I didn't feel that it needed to be a 150,000 word book. I just wanted to finish a story. And it ended up being maybe 27, 28,000. It was short. And so it was like a novella. And I said, well, that's okay. That's all it needs to be. And I knew I could do that fast. And the other was that it followed a frame that we'd seen over and over and over again. Like the idea of the vampire story is like they're all the same. You know, there's an ordinary person, they're bit or they're exposed to the vampire world, and then they change, and then they don't understand their abilities, and then they learn their abilities, and then there's a fight or something. And that
it's almost like it's the superhero arc.
Right, and the arc where I needed to have like a climactic battle or something, I remember fighting with that. This is just, I'm thinking back now, because I knew the parts of the vampire myth. It was like the situation. It was like knowing there was a disease and a drug. But it happened to be plot points. And when I got to the point where I was like, okay, but there needs to be a fight. There needs to be a triumph. I remember taking a long time to puzzle that out. And then I did, but it was kind of accidental. It was kind of like, I knew the archetype or the story, structure, and I just gutted through it. And then after that, it became a little easier.
Yeah. So Ashley in the comments says, this is not a promo, but something that helped me with having confidence with my current work in progress was getting a story jacket. It made me feel a lot more confident with my outline and that all the kinks will be worked out before I start writing. So there's something common here. Now, you don't need to get a story jacket, and you don't need me to be your partner.
SterlingandStone.net/story.
Nobody else can have you as a partner.
Right. My dance card is full. But the idea of talking it out with somebody, I think, is a common denominator here, right? Dave never finished until he had a partner. Johnny never got, like, what's the situation? Let's talk about plot until he's.
What does Jersey Shore have to do with this?
Right, there we go. Ashley is like, okay, I got a story jacket. It's not the story jacket that helped her. It was the ability to see it a bird's eye view and really look for those holes. And if you are just able to talk to somebody out there who can ask a simple question like, well, what's the plot? You've just given me a situation. And we're all in our heads. We don't know that. And you guys very much serve that function for me. There's a lot of times I'll have a great idea and Dave shits all over it, pops my balloon. Or like the first version of beats I'll give to Johnny, he'll like leave comments in there that are like, what, are you an idiot? This doesn't make any sense.
Well, I hope they don't come across like that.
Well, they're like, I get it. Like, okay, well, that was clearly illogical. And you need people to challenge you. You need people to ask you questions that you don't know the answer to. So when you answer them, they become better. So it's just a good idea. And I don't mean writers groups. I don't mean, like, I actually think you're much better off not asking a fellow writer unless it's someone that you're collaborating with, but somebody who really enjoys the genre. Someone that you trust, someone that you know won't bullshit you too. Like if I need like a direct answer and I'm not asking, someone like Dave or Johnny, who like both of these men, I 100% trust to tell me the truth if I ask them a question. But if I wanted something, outside of this, I'd ask my sister, because my sister's not going to flatter me ever. She's not. She's going to tell me if she tells me I'm awesome at something, I 100% believe that because she takes glee in telling me when I'm not. So that's that. You need people like that to bounce off of. But if you take the same story problem, let's say you're really like trying to wrestle out a story problem, you're trying to puzzle this out, and you take it to a group of writers or even one writer, that writer is going to answer your problem the way they would solve it, most likely.
Or a beta reader.
Right, a beta reader
says ask readers.
That's exactly perfect, because that's what you need. You need somebody who's actually going to enjoy the type of entertainment that you're creating. So if you ask a writer, especially a writer outside of your genre, that's not helpful. Like they're going to give you maybe writerly advice, but you want something from the end user, the person who's going to enjoy that. What would they want? I think that's the best place to ask.
Yeah. So what Sean was saying about reporting about the story jacket, the lesson there, I think, is, have somebody to bounce it off to, but that's also like, you need feedback, so if you're working alone and you don't feel confident, then you need to not be alone. And that doesn't mean having a collaborator. That means talking to somebody about the story, telling somebody the story, and having them ask questions like, well, so how did he get from here to there? And I would also say, I wrote down a few things here that I was thinking of. I would say to have, and this sort of is the same thing, to have some things in place so that you're basically mitigating your creative risks, whatever that means. So by talking to somebody you're eliminating some of the blind hope that maybe this is a good story. And I'm going to write it totally in a vacuum and I'm going to release it. And I don't know. By talking to somebody, that's going to kind of help to mitigate the risk. Another good way to I think to do it, and we've talked about this before, is if you really, really don't feel confident in the end that your story is any good, if you can finish it, put it out under a pen name, a brand new pen name.
Right.
Because if you divorce yourself from the work and you say, okay, well, this is, Quaxelborg's book, then what do you give a shit? Yeah, nobody knows who Quaxelborg is. You know what I mean? You just put it out there and see what happens. Like, that's something you can do as well.
Or ZC Bulger.
ZC Bulger at.
Yeah, I think it's also good to, and we've said this before many times, but it's worth repeating in this context, that you are not your art, right? It's something that you have created and you're putting out into the world. And if it bombs, if it's terrible, that's not a reflection on you. Like, well, I mean, a little bit.
You are a little terrible.
You're a little terrible. but you can go back and do it again. Like, you can go back and make something better. And Johnny's totally right. If you're just starting out in this game, why not start with a pen name and build up the confidence to use your real name? Don't ever let that keep you from publishing What If I'm Not Good Enough? Because no one needs to know it's you. And if it's great, then slap your name on it.
And if it's really horrible, just act like you meant it, like Birdemic.
And just really stop and take some time to think about what you're really afraid of. And what Sean said about you are not your art is instructive here. Because what are you really afraid of? Like, if it's like you've done everything you can to assure that this is your best effort for where you are right now, and you got the confidence to finish the book in some way, shape, or form, and it's just a matter of pulling the trigger. Or even if you are mired in a draft and you feel that it's a mental block, which it usually is, you kind of just need to be like, well, what is it that I'm afraid of? Because your gut reacts like everybody's going to come to my house, break down my door, strip me naked, and laugh at me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what you're responding like.
Right. And I think, this is a little self-helpy, but maybe that's where we are right now. But it's ask yourself, what is actually the worst thing that can happen?
Well, I could tell you.
Right. Okay, let's humor us, Dave. What's the worst thing that could happen?
Well, when I was writing, starting and stopping stories all the time, my fear was that I would finish one and it would just suck. Or I would somehow get it published. I didn't think I'd actually. I did have a weird delusion that I would eventually be a writer. I don't know how, because I didn't believe in any of the steps it would take to get there. But I just figured it would happen.
No, I remember having a conversation with you distinctly, maybe 7 years ago. This was a long time, and you were typically Dave and like, no, that can never happen. That can never happen. And all these specific ways that I was saying that we could make it work. But then you're like, and I said, but don't you want to be a writer? Don't you want to make it? And you're like, oh, I'm going to be a fucking rock star writer. You just mark my words. Which is exactly what I meant at the beginning of the show about how sometimes. You
guys are both step 1, collect underpants. Step 2, step 3, profit.
So, yeah.
But the fear was that, I would write something and it's on your permanent record. Like, once you put out one shitty book, then you just may as well give up. You should never.
So you wouldn't have thought about the pen name thing back then.
Well, yeah. I had never even thought.
This wasn't even.
That would be my first thing I would do.
Really.
Danielle Garrett had Good Crap Books Can Help Too. I've been writing romance for 2 years and just recently read Romancing the Beast, and it helped me feel a lot more.
Romancing the Beast, and that book is fantastic.
No. It's talking about something. There is a Romancing the Beast, and oh man, is it hot.
I can barely see.
It's one of those werebear books.
Yeah, it helped me feel a lot more solid about the novel I just finished. And I think what we're finding in everything we're talking about here, except Sean, we haven't heard Sean's confident story. But at least with me and Johnny, we had weaknesses and we had to figure a way around them. In our case, it was Sean. But in other cases, it's like finding somebody that knows how to do what you are not very good at, or just studying people that you that are doing what you want to do a little bit more to see how they do it. I mean, reading a book, you can deconstruct a book and see how it's done. But Sean, how did you get confident enough to write?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because when I first started, I was like, I didn't even tell people I was writing, because like I was embarrassed and I wasn't confident. And what gave me confidence, like I was writing for a year and I'd already been rejected by a publisher when I started Writer Dad. And what gave me a lot of confidence, actually, you were one of the people who gave me confidence early on, Dave. I mean, it started with Cindy. She gave me a MacBook 10 years ago now on my 30th birthday, and said I was born to do this. And her exact words were actually, here's a MacBook, go make $1 million. And she always believed that I could do that.
Trying to resist making a joke about Sean's $2 million money-making idea.
So that was helpful, and it got me started, but I wasn't confident enough to publish or be public. Like I didn't tell my family, other than Cindy, Ethan, and Haley, like my sister and my dad, like they didn't know. And they wouldn't have for a long time. What changed was Writer Dad, because when I got that,
that blog you stole from me,
the blog I stole from Dave, right? The actual public reaction to that was really strong. And I was writing under a pen name, kinda, because I wasn't public. It was Writer Dad, and I didn't say who I was for like the first.
So Writer Dad was not your given name.
It was not my given name. And, you know, there was a lot of comments when I wrote, and
I did a who is search. I found out your name.
Of course you did. So that really helped the confidence, but that was like, I had confidence that I could talk to an audience. I still didn't have confidence for fiction. But again, it's baby steps. The first thing that I wrote is awful, but I do think the ideas are good, and it's knowing yourself. I knew, you know what, it's celebrating when you can, right? So it's like what we were saying about, don't be upset that you're not Stephen King yet. Look at the person who's a year away. And when I first, when Cindy first, it was actually when Haley went to kindergarten, and I was a little sad, and I just went and wrote a little bit each day from September to December, and wrote a 600-page book in that time. And it was really, really bad, but I didn't focus on how bad it was. I focused on the fact that I wrote it. I focused on the fact that I could print out several hundred pages of a book that had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And what I told myself is, no one should ever see this ever again, but I should do it again and do it better than I did this time. And I think that if you go into it with that mindset, then there's no need to find confidence, because you're confident about what you've done and what you can do in the next step. It's just, don't be grandiose and say, you know what, I'm going to be Stephen King on my first book. Because if you're that confident, you're kind of an idiot. You're one of those people on, like The Voice, or actually The Voice picks good singers, but like America's Got Talent or American Idol, where they come out and they're like just sure that they're like
William Hung.
Yes, William Hung's a great example. And why do we both know his name? That was like 10 years ago or more. Anyway, it's that. I think that you want to be confident about what you've done and the iterative baby steps forward that you can take, and not allow yourself or your confidence to get gobbled up by the big grandiose things that you have. We've talked about this too, but I think this is great. It's the idea that most people overestimate what they can do in a year, but underestimate what they can do in 10. And, I think that we're finding that too. I think that at Sterling and Stone, we overestimated what we could do in our first year, but as years pass, we're seeing that we probably underestimated what we can do in 10. And on your individual author journey, I think the same thing is very much true. I think we get out there and we're all excited, we're going to publish. And if that first year doesn't go as well as we hope that it might, our confidence can take a beating, but that's not reasonable.
But it can work for you too, because I know, Sean, you and I have both told the story of how we overestimated what we could do in a year and sold that story to our wives. And, I think if I'd have known fully and completely, I wouldn't have stopped, but I would have been a lot less heartened. And so being delusional helped. is what I'm saying.
Like,
How do you feel about being delusional, Dave?
Well, like me with my comics, it worked. And going back to the Stephen King thing that you're saying, like your first book won't be a Stephen King book. Well, even Stephen King's first stuff wasn't Stephen King. Like, he wrote ever since he was a kid. I mean, he wrote a lot of stuff to get to where he needed to be. When I think was Carrie's first book came out.
Yes.
Yeah, and he wrote a lot of short stories before that and sold them.
And wait.
But Carrie was not even a book. Yeah.
His wife took that out of the trash can and said, you really, like, I guess he has a Cindy too. We need people in our lives who are pushing us in that way. And that is true. So, yeah.
And he had to add a bunch of stuff to it. Like Carrie as published is way longer than it was when he was originally writing it. So for sure. All right.
He clearly has no problem with making longer books these days.
No,
none. And the Kate Morgan says perfect is the enemy of done, which I think we've
heard that somewhere.
And I think that's really good in this context, because if you're trying to be perfect, then a lack of confidence is natural, because how could you possibly ever live up to that? No, nothing is perfect. No book is perfect ever. Ever.
That's what I was doing when I was writing. Like, I would write a few chapters. I'd look at it and say, oh my God, this sucks. And I would just put it away.
This was yesterday, right? This was yesterday, right?
Well, it happens a little more, but now I stick with the story because I don't have an option not to. But if it was just me operating alone, then I would move on to the next book and try that one. And like, I would just find the thing that didn't kick my ass so much.
Yeah, no, but kicking your ass is what a story does sometimes, and that's okay. Like, it's if you're trying to wrestle it into perfection, that's a battle you're going to lose. So just try to make it as good as you possibly can, and then make sure that just be fully present. Make sure that you're learning everything that you can with each project, and move on and be 100% there, and you'll get better. How could you not get better? Like, it's doing the work, it's getting better, and your confidence should improve along with your craft.
Find a Sean and or Cindy.
Yes, that is helpful.
All right, so I guess that's it, and I think that was a good show. Like, I think that was. I send us feedback, of course. Let us know what you guys think. But that'll do it for today. And I will just remind everybody that, as I said in the middle of the show, if you haven't yet gotten your summit ticket, your Smarter Artist Summit ticket, and you still think you might want to go, now is the time, because you want to get it before it sells out / and or you just plain run out of time. It's April 26th and 27th in Austin, and the URL is smarterartistsummit.com. And thanks much for listening, and we'll see you later.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.